In 1900, Frank Lloyd Wright delivered a speech which was later known as The Architect at the Institute of Art in Chicago. Hello everyone and welcome to Archanime, an architecture space that focuses on sharing architecture theories and philosophies. In this video, we will discuss the main ideas Frank Lloyd Wright talked about in his speech. 1. The difference between a businessman and a professional man. 2. How architecture lost its quality after it became commercial. 3. The detachment of architecture from art and its transformation into a commodity. The following are an excerpt from the original speech. Before we begin, make sure that you are subscribed to our channel for more content like this, and now let us investigate. 1. The difference between a businessman and a professional man. A vital difference between the professional man and the man of business is that money making to the professional man should be incidental. However, to the businessman, it should be primary. Money has its limitations. While it may buy quantity, there is something beyond it, and that is quality. When the practice of a profession of touching the art is assumed, certain obligations to the public concerning quality and beyond money making are also assumed. Without their faithful discharge, the professional man degenerates to the weakest type of social menial in the entire system. An industrial parasite, an architect, practices a fine art as a profession, with the commercial and the scientific of his time as his technique. Men are his tools. 2. How architecture lost its quality after it became commercial. In the age of quantity, there is a growing tendency on the part of the public to disregard the architect in favor of the plan factory, magnate or architecture broker, and there is consequent confusion in the mind of the young architect of today and tomorrow. The confusion exists, and naturally enough, because the topography of his field of action has changed. But the spirit of practice and the old field is still sound to the core. The influence is chiefly responsible for this change and most easily recognized is that of science and commercialism. The tremendous forward march of scientific attainment which attendant new forces and resources, cultivation of the head at the cost of the heart, of mind and matter at the expense of the emotions, has nevertheless given to him new and masterful tools, because he has failed to realize and grasp his situation in its new bearing. He is not quite like his brother, the artist, a thing afraid of organization and its symbol, the machine, but the architect, the master of creative effort, whose province it was to make imperishable record of the noblest in the life of his race in his time. For the time being, he has been caught in the commercial rush and whirl and hypnotized into trying to be the commercial himself. 3. The detachment of architecture from art and its transformation into a commodity. The architect has dragged his ancient monuments to the marketplace, tortured them with ribs of steel. Architecture has become a commodity. The architect has small standing except as he measures his success by the volume of business he transacts. Divorced from fine art, the architect is something yet to be classified. A good salesman as something that they can understand and appreciate when, as far as the commodity he is selling, it has been dead to them so long. The commodity is as dead to the salesman as to the buyer. The present generation of the successful architect has been submerged, overwhelmed by the commercialism of his time. He has become a high-grade salesman of a high-priced imported article. His duty to the public as a professional man has been laid aside. What has been gained by his feverish haste to offer his art on the altar of commercial sacrifice has been quantity at expense to quality, a general depreciation of architecture values. In consequence, its architecture today has not even commercial integrity. Does a sale of property appear in a trade journal? Immediately the owner is besigned by 10 first-class architects, suing for the privilege of submitting samples free of charge, assuring the owner, meanwhile, that he would be granting a personal favor in permitting them to do so, and if the samples were not what he wanted, they would love each other nonetheless. Or his friend drops in shortly after the owner decides to build and incidentally mention so and so as a good fellow and a winning architect. The latest development is the hiring of a professional promoter by the year to drum up trade and talk to the best of him concerning professional advertising, making capital of himself in subtle, telling ways. How many architects would live if they depended upon the work that came to them because of intelligent, critical appreciation of actual qualifications or work performed? Probably about 7% of the profession, because the matter of architecture itself has become of little moment to the average client. Architecture as a fine art is really out of it, and for the present, architecture as a commodity is a case of friendly favor and interference or a matter of fashion. We have now reached the end of part 1 of this video. In the second part, we will be discussing the rest of Mr. Wright's speech, where he talks about how architecture should and how the architects themselves should act in order to save their profession. Make sure to subscribe to not miss it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.